Hello everyone, this is Logan, and today I'm going to be going through part 1 of my record collection, records A through J. They are all alphabetized. I have little separators there to divide them, and I have a few bins of records, so I'll just be doing 3 parts of all 3 bins. So without further ado, the first album I have, and these aren't, aside from, like, A, B, and C, they aren't in any other kind of order, even though I do like to kind of group similar artists together. So, first thing is Alda Nova. This is, self-titled, I believe. Pretty good album. They were most famous for the song Fantasy. Except, they're a good band. That's not a particularly good album. The Best of the Animals. Aerosmith Rocks. This is one of my... Which is funny because I'm not really a huge fan of Aerosmith. But this is a really good album. That and, well, I like their first few albums. I think, like, maybe their first 4 or 5 are pretty good. AC/DC, Back in Black, really good album. Unfortunately, this album's not in the greatest of shape, but I did put, like, a little plastic thing over it to kind of do that. There's Aerosmith Classics. I'm actually gonna switch the order of that, because, again, going back to that whole grouping similar artists together. And actually move that one back a bit too. This is Bryan Adams. This is a 12-inch single. The main song on here is Heaven. Let me go back to where it was. So, here's the other AC/DC album I have for those about to rock. America. I don't remember what specific album this is, but it has Sister Golden Hair on it. What album is... Oh, this is Alice Cooper, School's Out. It's a pretty interesting, album case. It, like, kind of opens up like a school desk. It's pretty neat. This is Alice Cooper Greatest Hits. This is, like, the Greatest Hits. I think this album was released just before Welcome to My Nightmare, which is a shame, because I think, given the popularity of that album, some of those songs probably would have been on the album, but this is a lot of his older stuff, which is still really good. I'm not bashing his older stuff at all. Asia. They're a good band if you give them a chance. Bad Co. Now we get into the Bees. And, that's pretty good. Bangles. Now we get into the Beatles. I have a lot of Beatles stuff. Introducing the Beatles. This is an American, a more Americanized version of the album Please Please Me. It has all of the songs that Please Please Me had, except I think Please Please Me had Love Me Do. At least it does on the digital version I have on iTunes. I don't know if it was actually on the original LP. A Hard Day's Night. This is the American version, so it's actually just the soundtrack to the movie. Something Old, Something New. This has some songs from A Hard Day's Night and a few other songs. Help. Unfortunately, this one doesn't have a case, which is a shame because this is a really nice album. But it's still really nice. I think that's also a soundtrack as well. The Beatles, Yesterday and Today. This has some pretty good songs on it. Nowhere Man, I think, is on this. Yesterday, Drive My Car, Day Tripper, which is one of my favorites. Revolver, this is a remastered print. And actually, if you look here, it's on the Parlophone label, so I believe this is some kind of a British pressing. It's 180-gram vinyl, too, so... Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. Unfortunately, this album is not in the greatest of shape. Magical Mystery Tour. This is also a remaster on 180 gram vinyl, and this is unfortunately a mono print, which, you know, with the Beatles and especially an album like this, you really want it in stereo, because George Martin always did a whole lot of really neat little tricks with the mixing. Abbey Road. I have 2 copies of this. This is an original pressing. As you can see, this is on an Apple label. And this is the remaster. As you can see, it is on sort of, it looks like an Apple label, but if you look closely, it's on the Capitol label. Something I find interesting about this, you can see you can kind of flop it around, so this isn't like 180 gram vinyl. This must be an earlier repressing, or this must be an earlier remaster before they were doing that. Let It Be. This is another really good album. The Apple label on this one is actually pretty cool. It has like a red thing, and then the other side is just normal. I also have the red and the blue albums. Those are pretty cool. And now we get into the Beach Boys, Little Deuce Coupe, Good Vibrations. This is a pretty good case. Unfortunately, it's kind of screwed up, as you can see there, but it's pretty interesting. I think that might have been some kind of a demo version. The Beach Boys, Endless Summer. That's like a greatest hits. That was released a bit later. Jeff Beck. I've listened to this a little bit, and it seems like it's mostly instrumental stuff, so not that interesting. I just kind of thought I'd get it, just to kind of see what it was like. Blood, Sweat, and Tears. The Best of the Bee Gees. This is another Bee Gees album. The earlier Bee Gees stuff, before, like, pre-Saturday Night Fever, is actually pretty interesting. It's, a little bit, maybe even like the Beatles, I would say. Sort of like early, kind of like 60s music. Blue Oyster Cult, this is a live album of some kind. Boston, self-titled, really great album. Jackson Browne, the Pretender, I believe it is. Running on Empty. Hold Out. What's this? Billy Squier, Emotions in Motion. This is a really good album. Pat Benatar. The big song off of this is, I'm trying to remember. What is it? I don't remember what the big song off of this was, but there was one. Oh, Fire and Ice, that was off that one. This is another Pat Benatar. I think this is like a greatest hits of some kind, because it has like Hit Me With Your Best Shot, We Live for Love, Hell Is for Children. That's one of my favorite Benatar songs, in my opinion. Now we get into Black Sabbath. This is Masters of Reality. This is probably my favorite Black Sabbath album. My favorite official Black Sabbath album. And moving swiftly along with my second favorite Sabbath album, this is Black Sabbath Volume 4. I mainly love this album for one song and one song only, Snowblind. The other songs, don't get me wrong, the other songs are really good too, but the song that really makes it is Snowblind. And this is also a remaster. If we can get it out, you can see the 180 gram vinyl. We Sold Our Soul for Rock and Roll. This is like a greatest hits from the original album to Sabotage, so about 5 years. Really good album. This has pretty much any good Black Sabbath song you can think of, and maybe some more. The Mob Rules, this is getting into like some Dio Sabbath right there. It's not my favorite Dio Sabbath album. That's Heaven and Hell. The Blues Brothers, that's a live album. Let's Dance, David Bowie. This is kind of the low point of his career, and I'm sorry to say that this is the only Bowie album I actually own. So, yeah, that kind of sucks, but Bowie's really good, just not for that album. Best of Brad. Now we get into C with The Carpenters. Johnny Cash, Funny Girl. That's the only Johnny Cash album I have, and it's a shame because it's not even a very good one. Face Value, Phil Collins. Hello, I Must Be Going. I have the first 4 Phil Collins albums on vinyl, and those are like the best albums, in my opinion. They're really good. No Jacket Required. But seriously. Now we have Crosby, Stills, and Nash. Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young. This is Deja Vu. And this is another Crosby, Stills, and Nash. Deja Vu is a really good album, by the way. Live at Budokan, Chief Trick. Ray Charles, Greatest Hits. Sean Cassidy, Greatest Hits. Chicago, I have a lot of Chicago. This is their first album. This is Transit Authority. This is a really good album. Really good double LP. I have a lot of other Chicago ones. I'm trying to make this as quick as possible because I have a lot to go, and I have an iPhone 5S which eats through batteries like a big fat battery eating thing. This one's a Greatest Hits. This is Chicago 17. Eric Clapton, The History. This has a lot of... There's not a whole lot from his solo career. There's like some stuff from Cream. I think there's some stuff from the Yardbirds. There's some stuff from Derek and the Dominoes. American Fool, John Cougar. Moving swiftly along with the D's, we have Dokken, Tooth and Nail. I just got this album yesterday, and it is great. This is actually a demo print. If I can get the album out, I can show you. There you go. It's just like a plain white label with some text. And like a little kind of Electra label. The Doobie Brothers. They're a good band. Deep Purple, Machine Head. Made in Japan. This is a live concert, which I should probably listen to. Donovan, they're a great band, or that's a great, sort of like the British Bob Dylan, if you've never heard of him. Rodney Dangerfield, No Respect, that's a comedy album. Supremes, Baby Love. Funny Girl, Diana Ross and the Supremes. Diana Ross and the Supremes with the Temptations. Supremes, Greatest Hits. It's a good double LP. Def Leppard, High and Dry. Pyromania. Doors. This is the self-titled one. This is probably my favorite album by The Doors. The Doors' Greatest Hits. Something interesting about this one. It says it's on, Vectradisc, which, I don't know if that was like some sort of technology they were kind of testing, and then they thought, you know what, let's just release it on vinyl, I don't know. Or maybe it's like some sort of like different mastering. This is another Greatest Hits of The Doors. And this is another Greatest Hits of The Doors. And this is a live in concert by The Doors. Unfortunately, it's not in the greatest of shape. The case is in pretty good shape, but the album itself is not in the greatest of shape. But there's some pretty good songs on it. Gloria, Light My Fires on it. Eden, this is a really good obscure band. Unfortunately, I don't have a case for it, so that sucks. The Eagles, One of These Nights. This is another album by the Eagles. This is the Eagles' Greatest Hits. I actually had a duplicate of it, so I sent that to my friend. Emerson, Lake and Palmer. ELO, Out of the Blue. ELO Greatest Hits. 50,000 Elvis fans, Can't Be Wrong. I have a few Elvis albums. Manilow from Elvis. I just pretty much have that because it's pretty much a match made in hell. Elvis, now Elvis. Eddie and the Crusaders. That's some more Elvis. That's kind of out of order. I'll have to fix that. Elvis Live via Satellite. Europe, The Final Countdown. Europe's another one of those bands where if you give them a chance, you might actually like them. I really like Europe. Frampton Comes Alive. That's pretty much a staple of anyone's vinyl collection. The Best of the Four Seasons. The Four Seasons are really good. Fiddler on the Roof. It's a pretty good soundtrack. That's why I have it. Also, the cover itself is really good. I might actually frame this, actually, because I don't really listen to it. Foreigner, Double Vision, Head Games. This is probably my favorite Foreigner album, even though I'm not a huge fan of Foreigner in general. Foreigner 4 is probably one of my least favorite Foreigner albums that I own. Aretha Franklin, Spirit in the Dark. Fleetwood Mac, Rumors. Another Fleetwood Mac album. It's a newer one, and therefore I don't think it's any good. I didn't recognize any of the songs on it. John Fogerty. This was the one with Old Man Down the Road, or in other words, the one where he had to sue himself. Now we move on to G's. We have Genesis. We have Fill in the Gap, Gary Puckett and the Union Gap. They're a pretty good old band. George Thorogood. And the Destroyers, moving on over. This is another Genesis thing. I'll have to rearrange that so that the two Genesis are together. The soundtrack to Grease, which is really only good for one song, and that's the opening song. I think it's just called Grease. What is this album? I forget. Like, I remember it being pretty good. I just forget what it is. I can't see, unfortunately. Someone will point it out in the comments. But by then, I'll have looked at the album more thoroughly and realized what it is. I'm just kind of trying to make this quick. Grand Funk Railroad. The Guess Who. American Woman. Share the Land. American Woman is a really good album, by the way. If you've never heard it, listen to it. Same with Share the Land. And I also have The Best of the Guess Who, which is a really good greatest hits album. Daryl Hall and John Oates, Rock and Roll and Soul Part 2. Private Eyes. I'm not a huge fan of John Oates, of Hall and Oates, but they've done some good stuff. Heart. This is Dog and Butterfly, really good album. This is a really good greatest hits album. This has all of their earlier stuff, which is, in my opinion, when Heart really shined. This is, I don't remember what this is, but it has some good stuff on it. This is, and I'll have to rearrange that again later, but this is Heart, just self-titled. It's not my favorite album, but I do have it. I actually have duplicates of it, just because I was acquired it at some stage. The Hooters, this was their first album. Jimi Hendrix, this is, actually, I could look, or, no, wait, no, never mind, I really can't. But this is, a greatest hit, or, no, I'm sorry, that's not a greatest hit. It's, a live in concert. This is another album I have. This is Electric Ladyland. It's a really good album. It has Voodoo Child, All Along the Watchtower. Building the Perfect Beast, Don Henley. This is another Don Henley one. I don't remember what it's called. The Honey Drippers. This is actually a pretty interesting one. This is the band that Robert Plant and Jimmy Page started after leaving Led Zeppelin. Or after Led Zeppelin broke up. It's definitely not as good. In fact, there's a cover of I've Got a Woman by Ray Charles. It is just ghastly. Iron Butterfly In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida. That's the one that's like 17 minutes, and I could make some Simpsons jokes right now, but unfortunately my battery is dying. Okay, fine, I'll make one. Hey Marge, remember when we used to make out to this hymn? Okay, fine. The James Bond themes. I just kind of have it for the novelty. Jackson 5, ABC. This is also Michael Jackson, Thriller. I really only have this album because, for one song, and that's Beat It, which is my favorite, really the only song I like by Michael Jackson. I'm not a huge Michael Jackson fan. Shocking as it is, there are people who do not like Michael Jackson. Tommy James and the Chanels. Very good British artist. Elton John. Another Elton John. This is, what's this? Honey Chase? I don't know. Escape, Journey, Departure, and, this is Journey, Eclipse, I believe. It's a live album. Billy Joel, I have a lot by Billy Joel. There's that. This one's Glass House. I remember that one. I don't remember what that one's called, and I'm kind of pressed for time, so I can't really look at it. 52nd Street. Billy Joel, Street Life. I'm not a huge Billy Joel fan, but I just somehow acquired a lot of them. Piano Man. That's a pretty good album, just for Billy the Kid. The Nylon Curtain. The Greatest Hits, Jefferson Airplane. This is before Starship and all of that. Kicks. This is self-titled. It has some songs, pretty good ones, like The Itch. Greatest Hits, Judas Priest. This is some of their earlier stuff, so it has stuff like Victim of Changes, The Ripper, Rockarola, Dream Destroyer, or Dream Deceiver, or no, it's just called Deceiver. It doesn't have Dream Deceiver on it. Sin After Sin. I just got this album yesterday. I hear it's pretty good. Hellbent for Leather. That's a really good album. Judas Priest. Live. This is a live in concert. What is this one? I think this one is like, I think this one's called Desert Plains, if I recall. Turbo. This is a pretty underrated album, in my opinion. And Janis Joplin, Greatest Hits. So, we are about 23 minutes in, and now you can see why I've split it up into multiple parts. So, I'll see you all in the next one.